Alrighty, I'm back. One more day of the Count Show. I don't know if this mark is alright. Anyway, so I'm going to now expose to you the lies that are being told. The other day, I made a video. Just let me check what it was called. Um, the freedom carrot keeps moving away. And here we have the perfect example. People, you won't be free until XYZ is done. You won't be free until the people in wherever are free. This is the perfect example. Your whole to-do list just gets longer and longer and longer. And everybody just follows. Okay, corrected. Most people, majority of people just follow. Yes, there is still one more thing I have to do and one more thing I've been told to do. So, yes, sir, I will follow orders. One more thing on your list, that needs to be done. And then only you might actually be free. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's react. Mr. Petzer?
Africans need to be liberated from modern infrastructure, such as highways and railways.
Just that first sentence, liberated from modern infrastructure. What's, okay, so it's going to get destroyed. What's going to replace it? A mountain of rubble that will never get built up again. Because I don't know how to do it.
Well, this was the key message proclaimed to the world by one of the ANC's most tenured politicians at an international conference on decolonization this week, where he presented the existence of modern infrastructure in South Africa and on the African continent in general as an inherited economic structure that
if you go to all the countries, Botswana, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, whatever, they have had their freedom, independence, some for donkey's years. All those countries are looking like a shithole. So, in place of having shopping malls, you'll have some old clothes sold on the side of the road. Where are you going to get food from? Where are you going to get just basic everyday stuff? Toothpaste, soap, shampoo, coffee, tea, milk, where? It's tiring, this.
needs to be radically transformed in the name of decolonization. This
Transform
week, the
to
Turkish
what?
capital of Istanbul, formerly, of course, the Byzantine Empire center of Constantinople, plays host to the World Decolonization Forum, an international conference platform focused on decolonization in politics, economics, culture, and academia. One of the keynote speakers at this event was the conference platform.
That picture, just look at it. It's standing up, but we'll knock it down and break it.
An international conference platform focused on decolonization in politics, economics, culture, and academia. One of the keynote speakers at this event was the man who served as
Yet, they will have motor cars, Western clothing, McDonald's, pizza, spaghetti, ice cream, chocolate. This is the absurdity of this socialist, communist, Marxist mindset. These people live in the 1920s.
Minister of Economic Development under Jacob Zuma, as well as Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition under Cyril Ramaphosa, Ebrahim Patel. In his speech at this week's forum, Patel specifically pointed to the railway infrastructure built in Africa by people of European descent who settled on the continent as a, and I quote,
So like you actually notice, they actually wearing suits which came from the West. The World Decolonization Forum discussed ways to rethink development models. Yeah. How do you fight against a legacy? So you're fighting against something that happened in the past, and you will keep on redressing it, and then expecting to move forward. This is the perfect example of socialist, Marxist, communist ideology. If you look at Cuba now, that is I think it's communist, yes, country. Their cars are from the 1940s, 1950s. They've got no new cars there.
Colonial economic structure in need of transformation. Because in his words, the purpose of the colonial infrastructure is to serve the empire. Stay tuned because in today's video we are going to highlight what exactly these statements by Ebrahim Patel reveal about the ANC's destructive approach to governance and why we see such decay in the infrastructure that had been built up by the previous government. You see, Ebrahim Patel is one of the most experienced and senior ANC politicians in the country, having served as a minister in 3 different cabinets for over 15 years. Born and raised in Cape Town, Patel is also a founding member of the trade union COSATU. As a young activist in the 1980s, Patel worked with emerging independent black trade unions that were closely tied to anti-apartheid civic and labor struggles.
But don't you find it interesting that he lives in Cape Town, where it's run by the DA? These people are the biggest hypocrites out. the biggest hypocrites out.
He became a prominent leader in the South African Clothing and Textile Workers Union. He served as its Secretary General when, in 1985, it merged dozens of anti-apartheid trade unions into a
I remember when he was minister of that, or if he still is, I don't care. But I remember in 2000, it might have happened before, but I was working at a company where we actually dealt with a lot of scarves, t-shirts, jackets, that kind of thing. And most of the companies that were actually producing those things had to close down because all of this, well, okay, most of it went to China. Because there was a specific shirt that I was asked to actually look for. I traveled, and I could not find it. Only in China, but it was thinner, it was cheaper, everything. Yeah, follow the people.
single national labor movement, which henceforth became known as COSATU and stood with the ANC in the so-called tripartite alliance governing South Africa since 1994. In 2009, he eventually entered government under Jacob Zuma as Minister of Economic Development, later serving in trade and in industry portfolios first under Zuma and then of course now under Cyril Ramaphosa. His entire tenure was marked by prolonged economic stagnation, massive declining industrial competitiveness, rising bureaucracy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was actually just before. Yeah, it was. I can't remember when I left that place, but it was right about there. It was. There was nothing happening. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then I was working at another company and had the same problem there. Yeah.
Bureaucracy and localization costs, which of course caused weak employment growth and the general deterioration of South Africa's economy. Yet, despite his miserable track record in office, the World Decolonization Forum has invited him to speak on the topic of beyond dependency, rethinking development from the global south. In his speech, Patel highlighted how he has dedicated his entire political career as an ANC cabinet minister to what he calls transforming what he describes as the colonial structure of the South African economy. His speech criticized how the South African economy under apartheid was orientated towards European and Western markets, with which it traded far more than with its African counterparts to the north. South Africa, he claims,
Logically, under apartheid, wouldn't we fare better trading with, until you, first world countries? Just logically. I'm not saying don't actually trade at all with Zambia, Botswana, and that, but most goes to, with trade, to first world countries. Oh, God.
like many other African countries, was separated from one another and functioned primarily as suppliers of raw materials to production centers located on other continents. Patel
world
then
countries.
specifically pointed to Africa's railway infrastructure, noting that many rail lines run from mining regions directly to export ports, reflecting an infrastructure system designed to
Logically.
serve imperial interests by supplying these raw materials to Europe and North America through the port system. He consequently highlighted that the key challenge Africa faces today is to transform this inherited colonial economic infrastructure. And when it comes to transformation, in the example he specifically chose to highlight in his speech, the railways, it must be said that the ANC has largely succeeded in destroying
True,
these railways.
they have.
South Africa, after all, used to have one of the most developed and most impressive railway systems on the planet. In 1991, just prior to the ANC.
And what amazes me, you get these young people, and they are so convinced that South Africa was not a first world country. Because all they can see is the absolute destruction. But they can't go onto their phone, onto the computer and find out and ask questions. I'm telling you now, ignorance is not bliss. It is dangerous.
Takeover, annual rail freight in South Africa amounted to around 174 million tons. Just over a decade later, however, in 2002, it was reported that the amount of rail freight in this country has been reduced by 25% already. And since that time, the absolute collapse has just been further accelerated, with rail volumes declining particularly sharply since 2010. According to figures from 2023, Transnet's local freight is still under 150 million tons per year, which is an astonishing 700,000 tons less every single day than it had been in the early 90s. South Africa's railway systems has indeed been transformed in the spirit of the ANC's anti-colonialism, but it has come at the cost of every hard-working citizen in this country.
Funny enough, I made a video the other day. Actually, I can't remember when, but it was a while ago, where I spoke about black people coming down from Nigeria. Shaka Zulu happened to be one of them. Okay? His whole clan, or whatever you name it, I have had one view. One view. What is so scary about learning where you are from? What? Please tell me. If you want to come and tell me, oh, the white people colonizers, weren't you? Weren't you also? Since the beginning of time, people have moved around the whole time. We don't just stay in one spot. We move around, cultivate, grow, prosper. And talking about Shaka Zulu, he was not a nice guy. He was the second son, and his mom's family didn't like him. Red flag. He had issues. He killed his own older brother. Another history fact. When they came to, South Africa, Shaka and the Zulus wiped out 4 tribes, wiped them out. But yet, we don't know about that. We don't talk about that because horror of horrors. How much of our lives are built on lies, false information, and boy, we'll blindly follow, destroy everything, and then when there's rubble, mountains of rubble, and no food and famine and sicknesses, we'll go with the begging bowl. Oh, Mr. White Man, please help out. No, 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 no.
country. In fact, according to a recent study by Mr. Dion Venter from Agbiz, it is estimated that the damage that heavy freight trucks do to South African roads amounts to around 67 billion rands, or just around 4.5 billion per year, of which around 30% are cross-subsidized by taxes. This means that on top of the increasing costs to the transport companies themselves as a result of our railways being destroyed, the road freight overloads in this country also cost us, the South African taxpayer, an additional 25 billion rands, or 1.
And that is why food is so expensive in South Africa. Food, every raw thing. I am pleading with people to please learn your history. And then maybe we can talk civilly to each other without blaming, without pointing fingers, without verbally attacking others based on lies. Because to actually explain things takes time. There are many moving parts. And what I've learned in the past 5 years at my age, I've changed my point of view. When are we as a people of South Africa? I'm not talking about the foreigners. I'm talking about the people of South Africa. When are we going to grow up, learn to actually listen, take advice, find out stuff, and just be civil towards each other? But no, it's easier to listen to ANC, the cadres, everything. Your life, my life, our lives in South Africa have become increasingly more difficult. And yes, trust needs to be built. As Prince Michel, I can't think of his name now, said, we need to start having conversations with each other. I know so many black, sorry, I don't know them, but what I've seen, they have never spoken to a white person. They just won't. Their whole brain just switches off, and the white man's lying and the white man's whatever.
$0.5 billion every single year. The ironies in Patel's speech at the World Decolonization Forum this week can barely be overstated. In the first place, the great irony apparently escaping the entire forum is that the modern city of Istanbul itself is the fruit of an imperial conquest, which led to the fall of Constantinople in 1453 when the Ottoman Empire conquered the Byzantine capital. The Ottoman Empire was itself a major expanding,
and that was taken over by Muslims. And funny enough, Muhammad was a white man. That's the irony. Absolutely. Irony of it. Oh, God, it's funny.
Imperialist power that conquered, ruled, exploited, and dominated numerous native peoples across the Balkans, Anatolia, the Arab world, and of course North Africa for many centuries. The forum supposedly critiques colonial infrastructure, extraction, and imperial dominance, even while the host city of Istanbul is the ultimate manifestation of all of this, and the Hagia Sophia turned into a mosque is the ultimate symbol of such imperial dominance. Secondly, of course, Patel's claim that colonial railways harmed the African economy is directly refuted by the example of Taiwan. In a recent study released by the London School of Economics, it was found that although Taiwan's railways were originally built for imperial extraction, like Patel described here, moving sugar and rice efficiently to Japanese markets, they nevertheless produced substantial long-term gains for local Taiwanese farmers and regional economic development. The study concludes that Japanese colonial infrastructure designed for extraction ended up fueling the local prosperity, with rail connectivity increasing agricultural outcomes and integrating local markets to the global economy. Third, by criticizing the creation of railway systems as something Africans need to be liberated from, Patel implies a return to an Africa without colonial infrastructure, such as railways, which he knows very well is an Africa without any infrastructure at all.
If you've got nothing, all right? No means how to get water, power, road, just basic stuff. What are you going to get left with? With nothing. Just mountains of rubble.
At least the European colonists and the white South African and Rhodesian governments built railways. But instead of expanding these railway systems, parties such as those Patel proudly represents have allowed them to deteriorate to the point where thousands of kilometers of railway track now.
That's what you're going to get left with. That. Look at all that. There's nothing there. The question is that what you want? Is that what you see for your future, for your children's future? Shopping malls are going to look like that. And once thriving companies and everything.
Lie abandoned in this country, vandalized, and completely unusable. This destruction of infrastructure is directly attributed to Patel's own ANC and of course its sister parties across the African continent and other countries. Finally, Patel's claim that infrastructure built by the Afrikaner and other European descended peoples exclusively served imperial interest is simply dead wrong when it comes to the actual facts of history. You see, during the second half of the 20th century under the National Party, South Africa, through government enterprises such as ASCOR and Sasol, processed more than half its minerals locally, exporting finished products such as steel, petroleum, and refined goods under apartheid state-driven manufacturing. It is precisely under Patel's own ANC that our manufacturing deteriorated to such an extent that we are now forced to export all of our raw materials for manufacturing abroad because we cannot do it ourselves anymore as it was done under previous governments. We highlighted this exact fact in a recent video, which you can check out by clicking on this link.
Yeah. And this is what is so frustrating. Yeah, anyway, I just thought that I would share that, react to the ones, to the leaders that are actually in charge, and the caterers and the cartel. How do you say that word? Cartels. And these weird alliances that we have with Hamas and Hezbollah and all these other countries that are so against the West. And I'm definitely not saying that the anti-West is like perfect. But they definitely are a damn sight lot better than this, what we have in South Africa. Alrighty, folks. See you on the next one.